Welcome to Curtis Goes Corner, coming to you from a secret underground base in occupied America. Well, you're going to love this one. From Bongino.com, the Dan Bongino Show, Dick Durbin confronted after blocking subpoena for Epstein flight logs. Yeah. Yeah. Gee, I wonder why he did it. Let's read on. And you're going to see a short video. He's confronted in the tunnel underneath the Senate building by a Fox reporter. And it's just amazing. Let's see the video first, and I'll comment on it.
Chairman Durbin, can I ask you a quick question? Why won't you subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs?
So who are you?
Hillary Vaughn with Fox.
With Fox, of course. I don't know anything about his flight logs.
But why won't you subpoena them? Why don't you want to know?
I don't know the issue. I know who Epstein was, but I certainly don't know anything about the issue.
Well, he was charged with sex trafficking, so why don't you want to know who was utilizing his private plane?
Never been raised by anyone.
Well, Senator Blackburn has wanted to subpoena them, and there hasn't been a vote in your committee.
Said a word to me, not a word.
But aren't you curious, like, what high-profile or powerful people might be closeted predators and pedophiles? Doesn't that concern you?
Of course.
So why won't you subpoena them if you can?
It's the first time anyone has raised it. Thank you, Fox.
So are you curious about it? Will you do it?
That's amazing. It's really amazing. Now let's watch that again, but I'll comment along the way.
Chairman Durbin, can I ask you a quick question? Why won't you subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs?
So who are you?
Hillary Vaughn with Fox.
With Fox, of course.
Fox, of course.
I don't know anything about his flight logs.
But why won't you subpoena them? Why don't you want to know?
I don't know the issue. I know who Epstein was.
It's not an issue. I know nothing about his flight logs. One of the most best kept secrets in the history of the U.S. government. All the intelligence agencies know who's on that log. And why hasn't it leaked out? I'm not going to say they're all Democrats on there that are political people or Democrat sympathizers and people in industry and rich people. I'm sure there's some Republicans on there as well. I know Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer and professor who defended Trump during the impeachment, went there with his family on invite. So not every single flight has a XCX trafficker and a PEDO in it. But that being said, he knows nothing about it. So let's take the man at his word. If he's really telling the truth, the man's an idiot. And for all your French speakers out there, idiot. Let's listen on.
But I certainly don't know anything about the issue.
Well, he was charged with sex trafficking, so why don't you want to know who was utilizing his private plane?
Never been raised by anyone.
It's never been raised by anyone? Are you serious? I got to do the laugh track on that one. He is so full of... Let's listen on. It's not that much longer.
Senator Blackburn has wanted to subpoena them, and there hasn't been a vote in your committee.
Said a word to me, not a word.
But aren't you curious, like, what high-profile or powerful people might be closeted predators and pedophiles? Doesn't that concern you?
Of course.
Of course, he says. Of course, that concerns me. I think deep down he doesn't like the PEDOs. I have no doubt. Or XCX traffickers. I have no doubt. I mean, the guy's not a complete monster, but he knows. And a lot of these senators know, especially the ones on the Intelligence Committee. I have no doubt that Chuck Schumer knows as the majority leader. I have no doubt that many people in the White House and the executive branch know. I have no doubt that Pelosi or any high-ranking Democrats in the House know. I have zero doubt. But the problem is they can't just leak out the Republicans or rich or influential people that are Republican sympathizers, because then they'll admit that it exists. But everybody knows it exists. See, this game is just insane. They pretend it doesn't exist, but everybody knows it exists. It's just enough to make your head hurt. Let's listen to the rest.
So why won't you subpoena them if you can?
It's the first time anyone has raised it. Thank you, Fox.
So
The first time anybody has raised it, thank you, Fox. You got to be kidding me. And it's unclear. Let's continue on with the story. To point out the obvious, Durbin clearly is aware of exactly what subpoena Vaughn is talking to. And it's unclear why he'd think an issue being raised for the first time somehow invalidates it, as every issue that exists was once raised for the first time. Yeah, that's a good point, Dan. It's just amazing to me. It's truly amazing. Why don't you want to subpoena them if you can? It's the first time anybody has raised it. And he walked away. It's never been raised by anyone, Durbin said. And that's not taken out of context. That's the full interview. When she asked him the question, he asked where she was from. She said Fox News. He goes, oh, Fox News, of course. Now, he could have just walked away and said nothing. I'll give him that. But to say something this stupid is actually worse than walking away. It's never been raised by anyone. I don't believe it. Do you believe it? Boy, I sure hope to hell that someday Marsha Blackburn is my senator if I get the hell out of New York and go to Tennessee. So there you have it. Senator Dick Durbin. Now, I don't think he's running again. I think he's retiring, so maybe that's why he can just say nothing. Is confronted after blocking subpoena for Epstein flight logs. Now, for those of you on the fence about President Trump, those of you on the fence about voting for Republicans in the House and the Senate, next year, a third of the Senate's up for election. And the vast majority, I believe 2/3 of those, are Democrats defending our open seats. I think the Republicans are going to take it 54-46. That's just my guess. Because right now it's 50-50, with Vice President Kamala Harris being the tie-break vote because the Vice President is technically the President of the Senate. That's the way it was set up in the Constitution. And those of you that are on the fence about President Trump, think about this for a minute. If this is the only reason to vote for Trump, that the flight logs would be exposed, and he's asked for them, everybody's asked for them, and this genius says, this is the first time I've heard about it. You know something's up. If and when that breaks, that flight list, believe me, it'll make world news instantaneously with the internet. It will be all over Twitter, now X, all over everywhere. And they can't just leak it piecemeal and put their political enemies on there. They can't. Because like I said, that would be admitting that it existed. So they can't admit it exists, but everybody knows it does exist. Just double speak and twirling around is just, it makes your head hurt. So interesting. So anybody that has Dick Durbin as their senator, give his office a call and say, why does my senator, Dick Durbin, not want to subpoena Epstein's flight logs and let the chips fall where they may? Interesting. I may call him myself, even though he's not in my state. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.